Hello everyone, my name is Tainay and welcome to my very first video. Today we will be talking about the process of transitioning for people who fall under the transgender umbrella. So transgender people, non-binary people, genderqueer people, agender, two-spirit, all of that, anybody who falls under that, this video is for you. This video is also for the people who have somebody who is under that umbrella in their life and they want to understand more about the process of transitioning and also get a little bit more of an understanding on how to be a little bit of a better ally to them in this type of sense. You might be asking, why are you making this video, Taide? Why are you putting so much time and effort into a video about this topic that relates to you, that you personally love talking about? If you know me, actually, I love talking about being non-binary and I love just talking. I'm a yapper. I will never deny that. I love talking. I love the sound of my own voice. Yeah. But I'm making this for three different reasons. One, it's a project for one of my classes. Yeah. I as I've been meaning to post something, some type of video. I just never knew what. And then this fell into my lap, and I was like, why don't I make a video essay? Two birds with one stone. Two birds with one stone. Get an A on this. Also post something for the first time. Hopefully keep up with it. This is just for fun. This is just for fun. Secondly, to give more information to people who fall under the transgender umbrella, like I said earlier, to learn more about transitioning and the different types of and ways you can transition outside of just medically, because medically transitioning is not the only way you can just transition. And then three, to the people who don't fall under that umbrella and have somebody in their life, as I said before, who falls under that umbrella and they want to get a little bit more of a deeper and better understanding on that process. Before we start, I want to say one thing. I just did some research on this. I am not claiming to ever be an expert on this. This is just purely to put a little bit more information about this out there. So if I do get anything wrong, if I do say something insensitive, I am going to do my best, try not to. But if there's anything that I have said or did say that was untruthful or insensitive in any way, shape, or form, please let me know. I want to take responsibility for anything that I have said or anything like that, just to not to be insensitive, because I want to learn. My whole big thing is I'm always going to learn and grow from everything that I do. And if I do say something wrong or do something wrong, I want to know so I can learn and grow from that. Let's start off with our definitions. Transgender. Transgender is a term to describe people whose gender is not the same as or does not sit comfortably with the sex that they were assigned at birth. For people who don't know what sex is, it's assigned to you based off of your genitalia when you're born. So they have three categories for that: male, female, and intersex. For people who don't know what intersex is a term used to describe a person who has biological attributes of both male and female sexes, or whose biological attributes do not fit with societal or medical assumptions about what constitutes male or female. That's cool. That's interesting. But for transgender umbrella is a term that is used to group a range of gender identities and expressions. So anybody who is outside, who is transgender, would fall under the transgender umbrella. I will also include a picture somewhere on this side. Somewhere on this side. Yeah. So it goes transgender, and then there would be transgender man, transgender woman, and then cross-dressing on the picture. It's not on a lot of, if you look it up on Google or anything like that, a lot of them won't have cross-dressing. I got this one off of a website that like sells binders to people who are trans and all of that, and other gender affirming sort things like that. Very cool. We'll be adding that into the caption. But so definitions for all of these. I know I said I was going to only do a couple, but I kind of want to do all, just to like shed light on these ones. These are not every single definition for or identity that is out there. There are a lot more. I will also include another information source in the caption that includes most of the other ones outside of these ones. Like there's Two Spirit. That's the only one I'm thinking about right now because I recently saw that. But yeah, okay. Trans man/woman. This term refers to people who are assigned one gender at birth and identify with the other gender binary. Cross-dressing. People who cross-dress temporarily express themselves through clothing or a presentation that isn't completely in line with their assigned gender at birth. Non-binary. Non-binary refers to individuals whose gender identity does not fit exclusively with the traditional binary categories of male or female. Genderqueer. Genderqueer is a term used to describe individuals whose gender identity does not align with traditional binary concepts of male or female. Agender. Agender is a term used to describe individuals who do not experience an internal sense of identity. Gender fluid. Gender fluid is a term to describe individuals whose gender identity may change over time or across different situations. Transmasc. Transmasc, short for transmasculine, is a term used to describe individuals who identify with masculinity to some degree and who were assigned female at birth. Transfemme. Transfemme is a term used to describe individuals who were assigned male at birth and identify with femininity in some contexts. Polygender. Polygender is a term used to describe individuals who identify with more than one gender. Pangender. Pangender is a term used to describe individuals who identify with a wide range of genders. Bigender. Bigender is a term used to describe individuals who identify with two gender identities. Demigender. Demigender is a term used to describe individuals whose gender identity partially aligns with one particular gender. Last one. Androgynous. Androgynous is a term used to describe a gender expression that combines masculine and feminine characteristics. So that's your definitions for transgender and the transgender umbrella, in case you didn't know. For the definitions of transitioning, I had found a couple off of some websites and all of that, but I wanted to bring it back to the survey that I was talking about way earlier in my introduction of that, because these people who filled out were people who fall under the transgender umbrella in all different categories, and I wanted to shed some light on what they said and bring some and just talk about what they said, because I had 7 people respond and all of their answers were pretty similar, but all of them had something different that not everybody else had. So I wanted to share their answers and have them included. If you're one of those people who are watching, who filled out, who are watching this, I can't do a heart right now, but thank you.
Thank you.
I love you. Mwah. Okay. So 7 different definitions. Okay. First one. The question I asked is, what do you classify as transitioning and all of that? So just definition of transitioning, what their definition of transitioning is. How I classify transitioning is figuring out and taking steps to live more the way you feel and what you align with. That's 1. Allowing anything that allows someone to step outside their birth-given gender. Pronoun change, name change, anything that makes them feel more themselves. Choosing to go by a different name / pronouns and / or going on hormones. Taking action that changes how your gender is perceived by those around you. It can be small things. It can be as small as clarifying pronouns. Changing parts of your expression of identity to better reflect your actual identity. What I classify as transitioning would be not feeling correct with how you were born, taking that, accepting yourself, then putting in as much effort as possible in order to find who you are, not just what you're told you are. 6. Any changes in your personal life that are done to better reflect your gender identity. 7. That was 6 and that was 7. That was 6 and that was 7 ASL if you guys did not know. Now we have our definitions for transitioning, and now we're going to talk about the 3 different ways you can transition. Medically transitioning, socially transitioning, and legally transitioning. For each of these definitions, I'm going to split them up into their categories. So instead of doing definitions for each of these and then going into the resources, I'm going to do definition plus resource, so we could just talk about it all then and there. So it's kind of split up. Medically transitioning is really anything to help you transition medically. So that can be surgery, that can be hormones, that can be puberty blockers, that can be getting mental health care, all of that. That is anything in that realm that is helping you medically transition is medically transitioning. Kind of self-explanatory in that sense, but there are a couple different things that you can do to medically transition. So we're going to start off with mental health. That's talking to a counselor, that's talking to a therapist, all of that. Might not be in the same area as you, but I know for me that I had a therapist connected from my school, like a therapy place connected to my school, not in my school, but like there was an outside therapy place that I could go to that like worked in my school sometimes. So it's like we have some appointments there, and then outside of that, they would connect me with like their like the main campus thing that they had for their therapy stuff and all of that, and I would go there for my therapy appointments. It was able to be possible online and in person. There are also a couple of different places that you can have where you can do therapy online. I will add some places online for online therapy. If you much rather would do in person, all you gotta do is look up therapy in my area, and there's gonna be a couple of different places that pop up. I promise you that a couple of different places will pop up, and they are still costly. So make sure that they take your health insurance, they take your insurance, and that you can go, because it's very helpful. I promise it's very, very helpful to do that. Okay, you can also do hormone replacement therapy, which is you get synthetic hormones. So it's either estrogen, which is the hormone that is found in women, or testosterone, which is the hormone that is found in men. So if you're transitioning to a woman or want more womanly features, you can get estrogen. If you are transitioning to a man or transitioning to a man or want more of those manly features, you would get testosterone. For that, you have to talk to your primary healthcare provider, your doctor, and all of that, just to make sure that it's safe for you to do that. All of that. Again, there's something, I'm just giving you guys the basics on all of this. Not the basics, but like a little bit more than the basics. But some of these things are things that you're gonna have to find and talk to your healthcare providers for, because that's more of where it's on, like everything else that I can't do on that. Yeah. And then there's also gender affirming surgery. So just the definition for gender affirming care and all of that is gender affirming is an adjective used to refer to behaviors or interventions that affirm a transgender person's identity, i.g., a treatment using cross-sex hormones for transgender patients may be called gender affirming. Can also be the use of a correctly gendered pronoun. So it's just the overall thing with that. But gender affirming surgery is any surgeries that affirm your gender. Really, there are a couple different gender affirming medical interventions that you can take. There are some pretty well known ones like top surgery, bottom surgery, and all of that. But there's like a little bit more in between those. So I'm gonna go through. I'm going off of the John Hopkins medicine list, which will also be added into the caption. Bottom surgery. Phrase to describe gender affirming genital surgery. So it's just the overall phrase. Same thing with top surgery. Top surgery is just the overall phrase to describe gender affirming, like, top surgery stuff. Breast augmentation. Enlarging the breast using breast implants. Chest masculization. A bilateral mastectomy that removes most of the breast tissue, shapes a contoured male chest, and redefines the nipples and our loras. Facial feminization surgery includes such procedures as reshaping the nose, brow, or forehead lift, reshaping the chin, cheek, and jaw, Adam's apple reduction, lip augmentation, hairline restoration, and earlobe reduction. Facial masculinization surgery includes forehead lengthening and augmentation, cheek augmentation, reshaping the nose and chin, jaw augmentation, thyroid cartilage enhancement to construct an Adam's apple. This is one word that I can't pronounce. I tried pronouncing it before I started recording this, so I'm so sorry. A lot of these words I cannot pronounce, you guys. Okay. Metoidoplasty. Metoidoplasty. I'm gonna stick with that. That might be wrong. A surgical procedure that works with existing genital tissue to form a new penis. It can be performed on anyone with significant yeah. It just me yeah. Penile construction. The construction of a penis generally includes several procedures that are often performed in tandem. They may include the following: a hysterectomy to remove the uterus, an optometry to remove the ovaries, yeah, yeah. It's just the process of surgeries to construct the penis. Yeah. Top surgery. Phrase to describe gender affirming surgery of the chest, either bilateral hysterectomy or breast augmentation. And then there's also a procedure where surgeons may remove uh if present, use tissue from that to create the V. Yeah. That's all for there that's all for those definitions. It was a lot. I know it was a lot, you guys. But so just basic requirements for the surgery though, like overall unilateral, you have to talk to your primary care doctor, or just make sure to talk to your primary care doctor and insurance company to find out what's required for them, because it may differ from state to state. Like in Washington, it might be different than like Wyoming or Texas or anything like that. But like the basic things that you have to make sure is possible is just be 18 or older for these surgeries. But if you are underage, you might have to just wait till you're 18 to get a lot of these surgeries, because there's like a bunch of different holes you have to jump through. But you are able to do hormone replacement therapy and all of the and hormone replacement therapy, PB blockers, anything outside of the actual like surgeries, you should be able to do if you're under 18. You just need to get parent permission, I think. I need to look at that a little bit more, actually. Yeah, because when I was researching this, there wasn't a lot of stuff for people who were underage, which I was a little bit confused on, even like looking at the stuff for the underage people. A lot of things didn't really have it, so I'm not completely sure on a lot of that stuff. So, but I will also try to find something, and if I can't, I will also let you guys know. But 18 or older, you need a letter of support from mental health care provider, therapist, counselor, or other healthcare provider. A diagnosis of gender dysphoria from a mental health provider. Have hormone therapy for at least 1 year before surgery. For at least 1 year before surgery as your self-identified gender, which is called the real life test. Just so you guys know that real life test is living 1 year as your self-identified gender before surgery. And then have regular visits with a mental health care provider. So it's important for that you have to talk to a therapist, get diagnosed with gender dysphoria, and live 1 year do the real life test and do 1 year of hormone therapy before you can actually get any of these surgeries. You can't just jump straight into it. Also check in with your insurance to see if they will be able to cover these surgeries. If not, you will have to raise money for this. It's a whole process, but it's always going to pay off in the end, because you'll like feel a lot more comfortable in your body. I can't say that you will. I've just heard a lot of people say that they felt like more themselves when they got these surgeries. But yes. Yes. But yeah. Socially transitioning is changing your name, changing how you dress, changing your pronouns, coming out, things like that. Some resources or things that you can do to socially transition: changing your wardrobe or hairstyles. So if something that fits a little bit more with the gender identity that you identify with. Packing, which I will also see if I can find a picture of it. I will try to include it. But packing, using a penile prosthetic to give a masculine genital contour. So it's you have something that has the outline that like makes you look like you have an outline of a penis in your pants. Tucking, placing your penis into an invernal cardinal held in place with tight underwear or a garment called a garf to give it a feminine genital contour. Yeah, I will see if I can add like I can find a picture of a garf and add it on there too. But yes, binding, using a tight chest garment to flatten breasts and give a masculine chest contour. I feel like a lot of people know about binding in that sense because it's something that's very much talked about online and all of that. Or it might just be on my For You page. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Breast, hip, or buttocks prosthetics. That's not how you say it. That's not how you say it. But it's the same thing as packing, but just doing that with prosthetics for hips, butt, or boobs. And it just makes you look like you have more of a curved figure. And then also coming out to spouse, partners, children, friends, family, classmates, coworkers, community members. So it's really just coming out. That is still also a form of socially transitioning because you're telling these people. Name change also included in that. Like I used to go by T, and when I was like first coming out as non-binary, then I told people I had they them pronouns and all of that. Ooh, sorry. So it was just that whole thing that still is transitioning. So I still would have transitioned from female to non-binary. However you look at it, but it is this is really the first thing that a lot of people will do when they come out and all of that, but also the same thing. I'm very grateful and I'm like very blessed to be living in a state where I am safe enough to live as my true authentic self as non-binary. I can use they them pronouns. I can put that on all my documents and all of that, and it won't get taken off. I won't like be in trouble for doing that. And I'm very blessed and I'm very thankful to have a family who supports me through all of this, who will use my correct pronouns, who will will try their best to understand, even if they don't, will always try their best to, if even if I don't understand it sometimes. But please make sure that if you are coming out, to do it to people who are safe, to make sure you're in a safe space, to make sure you have somewhere. If you're coming out to your parents and they kick you out, make sure you have somewhere you can go instead of that place. To make just please be safe. My whole thing is please be safe, because coming out is such a hard thing. It's something that even for me was hard to do, even with the people that I've had in my life, even with where I live. It's a hard thing to do, and you'll have to come out almost every day. Like a lot of times when you talk to new people, you're going to have to come out at some point. Like if people still see you as the opposite gender or see you as a gender that is not fitting to what you are, you're going to have to say, oh, that's wrong, that I'm this. You're still coming out to them. That's still socially transitioning in that sense. And it's a hard thing to do. And I full-heartedly acknowledge that. And I do commend every single person who has to go through that. Please be safe. Please be safe. Please be in a safe space before you come out to people. Please make sure your safety is number one priority. Be safe. Prioritize your safety in this. Please. And then legally transitioning. Legally transitioning is just changing your legal documents to fit to name changes on your legal documents, changing the gender markers on your legal documents, all of that good stuff. All of that great stuff. And on it it's for this, it's not really any resources I can give outside of just things you should also remember to change. So I have a list that I found. I'm also going to include it in the link. Can't really see it, but it's like, yeah. But I'm going to include it in my thing, which is called Identification Documents in Transgender People, an overview of name and gender marker change process in the US. This is only specific for the US. If you're outside of the US, I'm sorry, I don't know a lot about that. If you want to let me know where you're from, I can look into it a little bit more. But yeah, so this is only specific for the US. So the process of changing a legal name and slash or updating gender markers depends on where you live, where you are born, and other individual circumstances and needs. So the guide will actually has a little checklist that you can go through to and like check things off to like remember to for things to change. But like the basic ones that you will have to change is legal name change, update your social security records, update license or state territory ID, so just your state ID, government ID, driver's license, all that stuff, financial documents, banks, accounts, your cards, and all of that, insurance stuff, school stuff. So like if you're still in school, give me 1 second. I'm about to I'm about to have a coughing fit. Just legally changing that stuff on there, because that you go do your legal name change, social security records, license, government IDs, and then just checking with all these other things, because that's like their first legal stuff that you got to do. Everything else after that is kind of like just financial, insurance, school, employment stuff, just to like, okay, these are changed, like legally it's changed from this to this, just updating on these different documents to like just make sure that they're there. And then if you have one, update your passport, update your name on your passport, and then if you want to or you need to, update your birth certificate with your name, with your correct name, and the gender markers that you use and go by. Yeah. But the document will be added into the caption. If it's not able to be there, I'll probably try to add it into the comments. But it's very helpful. When I was looking through it, this was like the most clear cut thing I found out of everything. Everything else I was looking at was so confusing. But this is very clear cut. It has what you need to do, and it has like little stuff that you can look at too. So if it's not able to be added, look at the National Center for Transgender Equality. I will also add that link into the caption. Very good resources. Very, very good resources. Very, very good. Why is this important to know? You might be thinking to yourself after watching this, why is this important to keep talking about? Why is this keep getting brought up? Why do I need to care about this? And there is barely any light. Hey, how you doing? But why is this important to know about? Why is this important to talk about? Why? Just why in general? I want to read an answer that I got for one of my survey questions. And the question was, what's something you wish people who didn't fall under the transgender umbrella knew about transitioning? All of these are amazing. All of these are great. This one, when I got it, I just had to take a second after. And I want to share it. I'm going to share every single one, but I want to start off with this. We keep saying this, but somehow y'all don't hear it. If I had a transition, I would not be alive. I was a suicidal 11-year-old. I was a suicidal 11-year-old. I didn't plan on making it past 13. Transitioning saved my life. I can never imagine a future where I'm thinking about college and about to turn 18. Being able to transition saved me, and I cannot express the bliss that comes along with living as yourself. Suicidal 11-year-old. That transitioning saved this person. And I know for a fact transitioning has saved so many other people. If we stop allowing people to medically transition, if we stop allowing people to just socially transition, legally transition, just transition in general, if we keep denouncing people and saying, "Oh, you're not actually transgender, you're just following the propaganda, you're just following whatever's popular right now." Trans people only make up 1% of the world. No, wait. That might be wrong. This is off the top of my head, you guys. It's off the top of my head. But I'm gonna look at it. I'm probably gonna put it on the screen somewhere. Trans people only make up trans people only make up a very small percent of the world. It's not a trend. These are how people live every single day. It's not something that just came up in 2020 because, oh, we're locked at home. One person said it. Now everybody wants to follow. Da 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 da. This has been going on for so long. There have been trans people everywhere. There's trans people there. It's everywhere. It's in human history. It's just never talked about. It's never brought up. Why? Why is it never brought up? I want that question answered for me. Why do we never talk about trans people in history? You have to search it out for yourself. Why do we not talk about trans people in history? The impacts that trans people have made. Do you know how many people who are out there right now living who want to transition or cannot transition because they are not in a safe space to? Do you know how many people are pushing down their actual identity to appease other people because they're being told that's wrong? You don't live like that. That's just wrong. That's a wrong way to live. That's sin. It's again it You're going to hell for being transgender. Do you know how many people are living like that right now? I don't. I certainly don't. But I know there's people who are living like that right now, who are suffering in silence, who are depressed, who are suicidal because they don't have access to transition, because they cannot transition. We can't stop talking about this. We can't stop bringing this up. We can't stop allowing people to transition. We need to understand. Even if we don't understand, even if you don't understand, you still need to keep talking about it. I had to take a second. I was going to start yelling to my mic. There's a reason I'm passionate about this. Even though I'm not somebody who, like, how you really envision people who have transition and all of that. I'm not somebody who fits into that criteria, who wouldn't really fit into that criteria. I still have transition. I know people who have transition. And really, my whole big thing is I love trans people. I love people who fall into that umbrella. And it's something that I'm always going to support. I choose a specific topic for my civics project, and I couldn't just do trans people in a whole. I want to focus on one part, and this is something that I do like talking about. I never really did a lot more research into it, and now I did, and I understand more full-heartedly why this needs to be kept around. We can't not allow people to live as their authentic self. We say we care about the people who live on this earth, but then we don't allow them to live as their authentic self. And I want to understand why we don't do that, because it's sad, it's depressing, it sucks. Because these people are suffering every single day, not even outside of everything that's happening in the world right now, but even with all of that, they still can't express themselves in the way they want to. I'm grateful. I'm so grateful and so blessed to be able to live authentically as myself in the area that I'm in, and feel safe enough to do this. But not everybody gets that. And we need to change that. We need to allow people to live authentically as themselves. We need to allow people to get the surgeries that are going to help them, that are going to make them better. That, yeah. This is stuff that has been said so much, but still people don't understand it. People don't understand it. The fucking government doesn't understand it. If we want to protect the people who are living on this earth, if we want I'm about to specifically start talking about teenagers and kids. If we want to protect our kids, you need to allow your kids to live authentically as themselves. You cannot push them into an agenda that they don't want to fit into. They don't fit into that because they are not that. They are not you. You cannot push them into something that they don't fit into. I don't yeah. I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm gonna read all the other ones too, cause yeah. Okay. Something I wish people knew was that transitioning isn't only about changing your appearance. People who fall under the transgender umbrella can still identify differently as their assigned sex without having to change their look. For many people, it's like changing names slash pronouns or understanding themselves a little more in fact changing physically. There isn't one way for people to look a certain way in order to deem their identity. I agree with that. I completely agree with that. As a non-binary person, how I dress. I used to dress like heavily masculine. Now I'm kind of like mask femme in between there a little bit, like leaning a little bit more femme recently, just because I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. And I also don't gotta explain it. I can. I don't have to. It's not. You do not have to explain your identity to people. You really don't. You really don't. You can, but you don't have to. Just know that. But a lot of people, specifically for not a lot of people, how they see non-binary people is like these in between completely androgynous people and all of that. And while that is some non-binary people, that's not all non-binary people. I know so many about non-binary people who dress completely different. I know there are femme presenting non-binary people, mass presenting non-binary people, like people who dress however they want, and you can't assume. And obviously it's like hard to not assume how somebody, by the way somebody looks, what their gender is. But if they correct you, just say sorry and move on with your day. Use their correct pronouns, use their correct name. It ain't that hard. Okay, moving on. It doesn't have to be medical to be valid. Transitioning doesn't mean we hate our old body or our old selves. It just means we're adapting as we learn and grow, and we're doing that in ways that often involve changing away from our older forms. This next one, no one should do it unless they actually want to. There's like no reason to do this if you don't actually want to do it. And it can be really hard to do. So if they're doing it, you should sit down and listen and trust them to make that decision. Nobody would do it unless they actually wanted to do it. That's, even if somebody goes back later on and detransitions, at that point in their life, when they wanted to, they did. Sit down and listen and respect that. They can detransition if they want to. They may not detransition. They may detransition, but you gotta sit there and listen and respect and just support them through what they're going through. It is purely to be authentic to myself. I am not changing myself for the fun or to go with the trend. I am transitioning to reflect my true self, and you are being trusted to see that part of my past. Next one. You don't have to be taking estrogen, testosterone, etc. to be transitioning. You don't need surgery or anything medical. Transitioning falls under your own terms and where you are. You do not need to medically transition to be valid. Not at all. You do not need to medically transition to be valid. You are still a transgender person. You do not need to medically transition to be valid. And that's something people need to understand. Last one. I wish that people wouldn't assume that it's all for attention or because I'm chubby. I wish that they would be able to understand how people feel when they aren't transitioned yet. I want to talk a little bit more about this. Before I fully came out, I had people would call me girl. I was a woman before I came out, and that's like, some people don't have, you don't have to share. I do, because it's part of the journey that I've had, and I feel like it's very like important, and it's like makes a lot of sense for me to share it, and just in my type of journey, But before I came out, I was a woman. I was born. I came out. I was born. But people would call me girl. People would call me woman. People would call me, like, my mom would call me daughter, sister, like all of that type of stuff. She, her, all of that. I would be dressed in like dresses a lot of the time. I would be put in very feminine clothing. I would always with the girls and all of that. And when I was younger, I was cool with it. I didn't really like care. But then I got into sixth or seventh grade. That was unintentional. Don't do it. But I got into like between those grades, I started really questioning, because it was also during COVID, And a lot of people I knew started coming out. And I didn't want to feel like a follower, so I kind of pushed it down for a little bit and I didn't come out. But I always knew I felt kind of uncomfortable being called a girl or being just associated as a girl. And I got into 8th grade and or yeah, I came out in 8th grade, but then I took it back a little bit. I was like, not really. And then I hit 9th grade, and that's where I kind of like full went into it. I came out to my sister in before 8th grade, and she knew. I came out to my mom in winter of my 9th grade year, and then directly after I came out on social media. I'm gonna get water. I I still haven't told most of my family yet. Not because, like, I just don't, I know they're accepting. I just don't know. It's just never gotten brought it up, so I just never bring it up, you know? I came out to my friends. Uh, I, on all the documents I have in school, I say them. Yeah, it's just that process. But before that period of time where I was still being considered a girl, where I knew I wasn't a girl. So even to this day, when I get called a woman or a lady or anything like that, like there's like times where people like, girl, what? Like that's fine. I don't care. That's fine. But like those I get called a woman, I get called a girl, like it's an uncomfortable feeling. It's like you're wearing a itchy sweater and it's something you try to take off, but then you get told that's what you're supposed to be wearing, so you keep it on, but it itches like hell. You don't feel comfortable in it. You don't want to wear it. You can't. It's not it's so uncomfortable that you'd rather not wear anything and just go around butt booty naked than wear that itchy sweater. I feel like that analogy kind of didn't make sense at that point, but I don't know. Yeah. Being called a girl is an itchy sweater to me. I hate itchy sweaters. I hate being called a girl. I hate feminine pronouns and stuff like that, and I'm realizing that a little bit more now, more than ever. We need to trust and believe and support and respect the people who fall under the trans umbrella when they come out, when they transition, all of that, because these are things that I need a little bit more light. These are things that are hard to do. Coming out, even if you have a supportive family, it's still like uncomfortable to come out. And we need to support and love and protect these people, or they might not be here anymore. And that's a hard truth, but it's true. We need to protect our trans people, or they might not be here anymore. And you can't, and it's not like oh, they're just going to detransition it and go back into living their life. No, genuinely, not here. And we need to understand that. That's something we need to understand. Hey, this is recording on a different day. The ending is recorded on a different day because I forgot to record it when I was recording. Sorry. Thank you so much for sitting through my almost hour-long video and just listening to me talk about this topic. I really am passionate about transgender rights and just LGBTQ rights and all of that in general. I've like tried to do stuff catered towards that in like anything and everything that I do. Like I speak out on my social medias, and I'm working with the LGBTQ Center in Seattle as one of their interns on some stuff. I hopefully will be working on, or I think I should be working on some type of pride event for June. And I am working on a pride event for June and all of that. But thank you so much for sitting through and listening to me talk for almost an hour. Really appreciate it. Yeah. Thank you.